On January 20th, 2025, Americans sworn in a new president. Well, not exactly new. Donald Trump, the 45th president, was now back as the 47th. Not long after settling back into the White House, he signed an executive order directing his cabinet to draft a list of countries that should face full or partial travel restrictions. By the time that list went public, the message was clear. This wasn't just a travel ban, it was a map that zeroed in on one continent more than any other: Africa. Out of the 43 countries listed, 22 were African. That's nearly half the continent. From Libya to Liberia, Sudan to Sierra Leone, entire countries were either banned completely or hit with heavy restrictions. On paper, the reasons sound reasonable: national security, poor documentation, terrorism threats, weak passport controls, and lack of cooperation with United States intelligence. But look a little closer, and the logic starts to fall apart. You see, some of the world's most violent or unstable countries didn't make the list at all. Mexico, for instance, just in 2019, cartel violence claimed over 34,000 lives. Ukraine had been locked in an ongoing war with Russia since 2014. The Philippines, under President Duterte, saw over 6,000 deaths in a bloody drug war. Yet, none of these countries were banned. But other 22 African countries made the list. Some, like Libya and Somalia, do have real security issues, but others, Benin, the Gambia, São Tomé and Príncipe, have no terrorism links, no major migration issues, and no real threats to the United States. Eritrea, one of the world's poorest nations, had barely any migration pipeline to the United States, yet still made the list. So what exactly is the pattern here? Because when you compare the list, it stops looking like a national security policy and starts to look like geopolitical discrimination. It's not always about who is dangerous. It's about who is powerful and who isn't. Countries with economic value, trade deals, or military partnership, they're safe. Poorer countries without leverage or global influence, they get shut out. And the numbers prove it. Between 1975 and 2017, not a single American was killed on US soil by terrorists from any of the countries in Trump's original travel ban. This isn't about what these countries did. It's about what they lack: money, power, and connections. But this isn't the first time America has closed its doors to the wrong kind of immigrant. From the Chinese Exclusion Act in 1882 to Muslim ban in 2017, America has a long history of using fear and politics to justify shutting people out. And to truly understand it, you have to look beyond borders, to the long shadow of global politics, and the price Africa is paying for problems it didn't create alone. Libya was once one of Africa's richest nations thanks to its oil reserves. But after the 2011 US NATO military intervention that toppled its leader Gaddafi, Libya fell into chaos. At the time, the West said it was helping, but after Gaddafi fell, the country was left broken. Militants took over, the government collapsed, and Libya became a key route of migrants and human traffickers. President Obama later called it his biggest foreign policy regret. Today, Libya is known less for oil and more for human trafficking and migrant slave markets. The US now uses that same chaos as justification for Libya's full travel ban. They say the security vacuum makes it impossible to properly vet people. And that's true. Libya is unstable. But here is the question. Who helped break it in the first place? And what about Somalia? The US supported Somalia dictator Siad Barre, propping up his regime in exchange for strategic military access. But when Barre fell in 1991, the country collapsed into civil war. After the Black Hawk Down disaster in 1993, America pulled out and Somalia was left in chaos. Since then, armed groups and warlords have fought for control. The most powerful, Al-Shabaab, the Al-Qaeda affiliated known for brutal attacks. The US now cites Somalia's instability as a reason for the travel ban. But again, look at the pattern. America helped build a system, backed a dictator, left during collapse, and now shut the door on the fallout. What about Sudan? In April 2023, a powerful struggle between Sudan's army and a paramilitary group called the Rapid Support Forces erupted into full-scale civil war. Over 7 million have been destroyed. Sudan has a complicated history with terrorism. Even Osama bin Laden was based there in the 1990s. But here is what's often forgotten. For years, the United States maintained close ties with Sudan's military, rely on it for intelligence sharing. As long as it served American interests, human rights abuse were ignored. Now that the country is collapsing, its citizens are labeled a threat and banned. Another crisis Americans once tolerated until it became inconvenient. The truth is, what's happening now isn't new. Across Africa, America has a long history of extracting what it needs: resources, access, influence, then step away once the damage is done. In the Democratic Republic of Congo, the CIA helped orchestrate the assassination of Patrick Lumumba, Congo's first democratically elected leader. He was replaced by Mobutu Sese Seko, a brutal dictator who stayed in power for decades. Countries are propping up when they serve a purpose and punished when they collapse under the weight of that same system. And now, in 2025, we are watching it happen again. This time through immigration bans dressed up as security. On the surface, the 2025 travel ban is about national security. That's the headline. That's the excuse. But dig a little deeper and you start to see something else. A performance, a message. This ban arrived just as Trump returned to power. During a time of global uncertainty, rising migration, and shifting alliances. It's not just about border control. It's about controlling the narrative, showing strength, drawing lines. And in an election year, it plays well with voters who want simple answers to complex global issues. Some countries were listed not because of any direct threat, but because they were easy targets. Others, just as unstable or even more dangerous, were spared because they are too strategic to isolate. Honestly, travel bans don't stop terrorism. They don't just fix broken governments. What they do is send a message. And when that message is aimed at nearly half of Africa, it's not just foreign policy, it's foreign punishment. Africa has work to do, a whole lot. Reform, leadership, security. But history shows travel bans rarely exist in isolation. They come with geopolitical calculations, economic pressure, and a clear message. You are either useful or you're forgotten. So, ask yourself, is this really about safety or is it about power? If you made it to the end of this video, please do not forget to subscribe, like and share the video with a friend. And don't forget to also check out this video showing on your screen right now. I hope to see you there soon. Thank you for watching.